There are at least two ways I could go in my climb of Chess Mountain, my historic climb of Chess Mountain. I'm high up, higher than any would have expected me to get. I got a few fingers on that next rock. But I feel like that rock's slipping. It's like, did it rain recently? Or maybe I'm just tired and my grip is the issue. Don't worry. I've got another hold down here. But even my offhand is getting weaker. What do I do? We'll get to that. But first, let's admire my stats. I am above 2,000 in all online time controls. The Chess Mafia is probably waiting for approval to extend me invites to parties and conditional challenges. Tyler 1 got a conditional challenge when he was 1,900. I'm past 2,000. I tell him no. 2007, 2004, 2004. It's not that impressive. But T1 is super genius. T1's a GM. Oh. If I were a chess grandmaster watching that bullshit, boy, I'd have a hard time even looking at certain content creators. They know how easy this is. Even for an adult, this is not impressive. I've just spent a lot of time on it, and I'm smarter than anyone else willing to dedicate this much time. I'm also more deliberate in how I approach chess. So I really believe I could get each time control, especially blitz, well over 2,100, even without improving my game in any way. Just playing more online chess and reviewing my games. Easily in the 2,100s, probably over 2,200. But why? Hey, knows what's up, man. I have a dog that loves me, a dog I've neglected. Look at that beautiful girl. She's been loyal when some women I've hit on at karaoke have said, YouTuber. Yeah. How am I going to break that one to my parents? All right, I'll go cuddle my puppy. Yeah. Look at that. Look at that sweet girl. I got moved to St. Louis. I get it. It was COVID. I have no connections in chess. I handled it all. Went and did a table games dealing school, which I'm grateful. I got to work at the casino, and I would deal cards even if I won the lottery. I won't be a prick, but I could go through all the ignored applications I sent to chess.com that would have made my life so much easier to get moved to St. Louis and start playing. I'm not bitter. I live by the rule of twos. Rule of twos means I might be wrong, first of all. But I'll be better for the next person because I'm done with you. I'm done. I'm permanently done with you. There's not enough money for me to go and kick the shit out of very weak streamers on something like PogChamps. I wouldn't do that for $1 million. Listen to, aside from Tyler 1, which I respect what he's done, listen to people who have just given up mentally. 1,100, it was just so hard and I was wasting too much time. 1,100's a joke. Like I said, 2,000 is not that great. Until an athlete is 1,800 online, there's really no reason to try. I mean, of course, it took me some time. But if you let me or Tyler 1 or somebody that's done it explain all the mistakes we made and things we did right and give you some guidance, 1,800 is a joke. It's a complete joke. And my rule of twos, which means, one thing, we all make mistakes. We all have to worry about and protect our business that provides for our families. So you were a jerk once. Yeah, it's fine. twice. And again, I could be wrong. I'm not worrying about it anymore. I'm just going to assume that either I'm a bad fit or I want nothing to do with you. And there's nothing that will ever make me change my mind. I could be all about it. This is how I approach dating too. You're beautiful. You're great. I'd love to be exclusive. I want to test one. Let's see what happened. Nope. Deuce. Well, what happened? Okay, it didn't work out with him. And now you were being very. I'm gonna go see if the unattractive, sleazy woman wants to marry me. It's a great way to live life. Hans Niemann kissing Tyler One's ass too much. I would love to grow chess.com. That's why it's hilarious. Though I think chess minds would understand how I work more than the average emotional person. I need it to grow. I need to know, once I get higher, if other people can do it, or maybe I do have some natural talent for chess because it's not as easy as I think. I need them to play. I need chess.com to grow as big as possible because there's really no other competitor that people will legitimately play on. And I've invested too much time already on chess.com. So I'll grow your business for free, but just don't talk to me ever. And don't ever invite me to any of your shit because I think you're a bunch of not a bunch. I think what was done to Hans Niemann was unnecessary. It proved a lot of stereotypes about chess players, right? Or at least made me wonder. And for Tyler One to say the things he said about super grandmasters, mispronounce Carlsen's name, basically saying I could do that, or if you've played chess since you were birth, bro, and you're not a grandmaster, your life has no value. And he got rewarded with Levy creating cool thumbnails and kissing his ass at least 3 times. Cramling offering him a challenge. I fuck them all and no hard feelings. I like to play chess. I'll play chess alone. Totally happy to do that. Which brings me to my dilemma. And that is, how will I approach online chess going forward? Because, my sparkling personality doesn't shine through in a over-the-board playing hall where I get shushed for telling chess jokes. So I'm probably going to be doing this. And the most likely way I will continue my climb up Chess Mountain is to max out my ELO. What do I mean by max out my ELO? I'll get rested, completely rested, maybe schedule a private lesson at the fabulous St. Louis Chess Club to get my mind right, and then I will play one chess battle of every time control, back to back to back, every weekday. And I will do that until I feel like I'm not the better player anymore, which should be high 2000s or very low 2100s. I'll be maxed out. And the second option would be to basically quit playing online chess. I would only play enough to avoid what's happened to my bullet, which, if you'll notice, I'm no longer, another reason this isn't that impressive, my rating is not factored in anymore because I haven't played enough. A business tactic to get people addicted to this shit. Oh, you haven't played in a while. You haven't been on. All right, we're going to take away your rating. Dayton, don't be cynical. We're doing it because that athlete might have improved too much, and we want to be fair with our rating, so we need to get them back into it and find out how good they actually are. And whatever, I don't care. Like I said, rule of 2s. I'm out. I've had doors slammed in my face while Tyler One was treated like a king. And I'm salty. It won't be good for anybody. Fuck you. Got me through a hard time. COVID, a lot of people ruined their lives. I played 50,000 chess games. Laugh at me. Oh, he needs to get help. He's mentally ill. See a therapist. That's 2. I've Uber-driven people with multiple DUIs, have ankle bracelets. Talked to a few moms who lost their son to an overdose during COVID. My mom has a son, and I have no criminal record. One way to see my perspective might be look at every one of these little peaks and valleys as drug addictions, overdose, ooh, revived him, ooh, he's not doing good again, he's a little manic, oh no, oh no, oh no. He just hit a woman, now he can't get a good wife. And he just lost his job, and now he started doing cocaine, and now his heart doesn't work anymore, and forget the rest because that's my mom going to my funeral. So it's fine. Considering COVID, I'm very happy with how I've used chess and even the time I've spent on it. My only goal remaining is to surpass 1800 USCF, which I'm 1539, but I'm figuring it out. So that won't be hard. And then I'd be happy to quit. I have no issues with quitting. 1800 USCF, over 2000 in all online time controls. Maybe a man or woman in his or her early 20s who never played or was in the corporate world and was like, man, I want to matter. I want to do something that matters. Will see my journey and say, let me study that. Or maybe chess business people will look at my journey and say, Dayton's a little too old now, which I'm not too old at the moment, but I'm getting to where I don't know that I want to commit that much time. I'm not as excited to go to the club as I used to be, though I still would prefer to. But I would love to see like a 24-year-old or 25-year-old who has never played chess like the position I was in during COVID lockdown and use my account as proof that it can be done. And more importantly, so narrow-minded people don't discourage that athlete. But if you give an intelligent, ideally someone who had a similar background like tech or a really good professional athlete that got injured or something, competitive foundation or something where they were thinking strategically during their younger years, and then you get them going with a plan and a coach to where all they have to do or all they get to do is play over the board chess, fuck online chess. It's not real. Yeah, you could create a grandmaster for sure. I probably still could, but again, I would like to eventually get married and stuff, and I would have to spend every waking second now that I'm 30 to do that. Whereas had I started it seriously training as opposed to just messing around alone during COVID lockdown at age 26, and I lived in St. Louis at age 26 instead of moving closer to my, 28th birthday, probably. Yeah, I could have definitely done it and even had a life. But then what if Magnus Carlsen, what if I look at him funny or something and he wants to take matters into his own hands like he did with Hans Niemann? I think that's a shitty thing to do. It's a bad look. There are mistakes in life, and then there is just, like I said, unnecessary, hateful, permanent, desperate things to do to another person. And they can get lawyers and say, Hans Niemann is pursuing a publicity stunt. You want to talk about a publicity stunt? The chess boom died because people were no longer locked inside, and chess is a very hard thing to learn. Unless you're weird like me and you find ways that limit the time invested. But this is they got exactly what they wanted, and they can have their opinion. Like they said, well, Hans is free to think whatever he wants. Here's what I think about you. I think the COVID chess boom died. Queen's Gambit brought more business and new accounts, memberships, eyeballs to top players than Magnus Carlsen could ever get. Queen's Gambit did more for chess than Carlsen ever will. And that's a fictional character. No one cares. He just intimidates people. And especially if he's going to act like a cock. Nobody cares about him. We'll go watch Patrick Mahomes throw a football. It's easier to appreciate. You wanted another Netflix documentary to reignite the chess boom. I believe, of course, chess.com didn't tell Magnus Carlsen to do anything to Hans Niemann, but they saw an opportunity to try to get similar growth as they enjoyed in 2020. I think it was intentional. And I saw this, I'll show the post. Yeah, it's set to be released, I think, in April. And well, there's two sides of the story, and I saw chess.com CEO, which he seems fine. I don't care. Again, rule of twos. Well, it wasn't. I left it up to basically the puppet, the face of the company, so that the CEO can do what he wants. I left it up to him, and that was his choice. And I disagreed, but we're gonna handle it now. And sorry doesn't fix ruined careers. And in the age of social media, Hans Niemann, even if he wins a world title, will always have people heckling him and his family. You fucking ignorant jerks. But I saw something, and this is where just the passive aggressive shit and the overreach to try to stay relevant is disgusting. I don't fully understand this, so I won't speak on it too much, but it seems like just a ridiculous thing. My thoughts, like being just a sarcastic asshole. Is that what this is? Congrats on the win. I watched your post-match interview and want to respond to my thoughts. Blank. And you want to act like you're relatable people, and us outcasts should feel welcome when you're going to treat the Grandmaster with the most relatable personality and backstory like garbage when he improves. And he's improved too fast, so there's got to be something wrong, huh? And then you want me to renew my fucking account? Which obviously the goal of buying any chess membership is to improve quickly, just like Hans Niemann did, and look what you did to him? Fuck you, assholes. And they might not be. But again, rule of twos. That's how most, at least young Americans that have other things to do, are going to view this also. They might not be, but it sure seems like it. And I don't have that much time to waste. I'm trying to start a family. That's why they're also not going to watch most Grandmasters games or YouTube channels. It's like, well, that was hard. And he didn't dumb it down enough. You get no other chance. And again, I won't be too much of a prick, but that guy was trying to sell his book. It seems like he had a hard life. I don't think he's probably a bad person or a bad dad or anything. I worked in the corporate world, and they found a psychopathic way to separate. You know, if someone does it to my son, I'd kill him, but I'll do it to someone else's son. It's fucked up. Everything I try to get away from. But in his little advertisement for his book, found himself like thrust into the biggest cheating scandal in chess history. Found himself like it just happened. You put yourself in that position. It's disgusting. Anyway, I digress. But I have wasted too many weeks, sometimes days at a time with no sleep, just getting in that rabbit hole. And it's my fault. But also, devices are meant to be addictive. And just look at this example. I don't have this kind of time. She's back to 1804. She was 2002, went back down to 1666. I think she's one of their partners. So I'm sure she's making some money with it, but she's not big. So she's not making a living for sure. And just look at this ignorance. I mean, how many games? Yeah, you reach that pinnacle and then you're back down. And oh my gosh, you know how many over the board games I could have played against stronger competition and learned something. I mean, I could have reviewed them. You know how many lectures I could have attended. You know how many Uber rides I could have given, then use that money to take a private lesson with a national master at the club. I mean, good God, you're getting no better. And I've been there. I don't ever want to do that again. And until, mid 2000, which is where you start seeing some lower rated titled players, there's really no difference from the outside looking in, whether I'm 2000 versus, 2400. He's over 2000. That's abnormal. But until you get to, 2500, it's not exceptional either. So the amount of work it would take to go from 2000 to even 2300 is not worth it. And I risk going back down and having to waste my time rebuilding it. So let's see what it does. I think if I abort it, shouldn't charge me any or take away any elo. I'm assuming it's going to be a big up or down swinging. Not that bad, actually. Okay, so that's reasonable. I'm not going to play this. But plus 11 or minus 11. Of course, usually for a similarly rated opponent, it's plus 8 or minus 8. So that's actually a good... Yeah, I get it. Just don't take away my elo. Bam, don't take away my elo. Okay, so I haven't played in like 4 months, Bullet, and it only added a 3-point swing. So I wonder how long I'd have to go before it gets to where it's just basically reset, ridiculous. plus or minus like 20 or 30 or more. That's what I don't want. I don't want to log in. I've even considered just not playing until 2026, and then I'll have attended lectures. I will definitely be over 1800 USCF, maybe even 19. I mean, there's a big difference between 1800 and 1900. But the main difference between my level and 1800 is consistency, in my opinion. And I'm getting a lot more consistent. But I've even thought about just not doing this until January of 2026, because then I would just slaughter these people until probably, if I'm 1800 USCF, I would say it's the equivalent of 2200 online. So I might end up just doing that. I might just not play at all, or play like one a month or something weird like that. Then in 2026, I will be rested. I will have learned so much. I will be considered a very advanced over-the-board player, and I will just massacre these people. That's good to know. I rambled. I'm getting back in my sleep schedule. So the purpose of me being up is so I stay up at the times I'm going to be working. And I had to make it till at least 3 a.m. I was already getting drowsy. So to recap, there's 2 ways I could continue online chess, and then of course what I mentioned, which is just not play anymore, basically. But I can max out my ELO, which I think that would end up getting me to very high 2000s or 2100s. Or I could do just what I used to do, which is a weekly video. But I don't have the energy nor the living arrangement to do super loud, obnoxious, creative skits. I'm also 30, so I would prefer to just play and relax, let the chess speak for itself. And I haven't decided yet. For now, I'm going to go play several hands at the casino of Ultimate Texas Hold'em, because though I dealt it prior, I don't remember it as well as I thought I would. So it's my excuse to gamble some. And since I have basically played online chess alone for 3 years and over the board, I think I'm going to take a week off, let it all sink in. Sometimes when we do that and come back fresh, we have new training ideas and we're just sharper. So maybe I will just shoot up super quick. But my chess future is to be determined. At the very worst, there's plenty of documentation on chess.com and on my YouTube lives, because after the Niemann thing, not only did I take very, very much more specific notations over the board, mainly adding the times I made the moves. So it's like that was a really, really good decision, or good anticipation for an athlete at whatever rating I was during the time of that game, which I of course have dates too. It's like, okay, well, there's how much time I thought about it. That's the type of shit you do, that you just think, oh, what's a little thing? And no, you make newcomers feel unwelcome and worry us. And of course, on my YouTube lives, I've documented my more recent Blitz games, and my rapid games are all over YouTube. So unless I'm like sitting there with an engine, somehow on another computer behind my laptop, which it wouldn't fit in my booth. So you can check that. But then of course I'm not doing that. I'm also telling jokes and talking through my decisions. So you really couldn't have any grounds to accuse me of cheating. But there you go. If you think you can't learn chess, or again, you're in that group I mentioned, which is early to mid-20s and have never played, I think chess is a miserable, lonely experience, though it's a beautiful thing to watch when played at the highest level. But it does prove a lot of things about the adaptability of the brain, And my take is if an adult can master chess, there's no reason an adult can't master SAP or Oracle or any coding language or become a doctor if the finances are there or there's a scholarship. Just like the story of the Polgar sisters, it's all about opportunity. And that's why I like to think I would never be a prick. Like, I think Magnus was a prick. And I think that in the situation he chose to be a little bitch in, it will make him permanently a jerk in my eyes, and one I never want to support. Because there are mean things I've made. I've made mistakes, of course, but that is a permanent thing. Question someone's character if you want, but never accuse someone without evidence. And say your goal is to grow your sport. It's a very selfish, just cruel, arrogant thing, because his dad sacrificed everything, and had that not happened, maybe some little girls in the ghetto are better than him. He's the only reason he got a chance to start, which obviously led him to being the best ever, is because his dad sacrificed everything when he was too young to know what he wanted to do. So there's a lot of luck, in my opinion. And that's why it's hard for me to fit in, especially with men who have a major ego. Because I'll be the first to admit, like, had I not worked in tech prior to COVID lockdown, I would have viewed chess how everyone else does. That's impossible. But I had a good boss, though she tried to ruin my life, who taught me a lot. And I spent a ridiculous amount of time on my own. Well, that goes there, and that's not that bad. And I had access to sandboxes. Oh, well, all these things that I and other people thought were impossible is actually pretty easy. I took that belief to chess. So my account, great foundation. I wouldn't look through all my games, but early on, see trends. Chess.com has some decent reporting options of openings played and stuff. When I started playing D4, you could notice how I fumbled around, made more blunders when I tried a new opening, and then how I figured it out, or little cheats that might not be the best way to play chess, but would be a good recommendation if you're trying to learn and you're starting out online, such as a pin removed is more valuable than a pin acquired. That's one of my hard rules that I know is not always the case, and usually not the case, but you don't want to just pull your bishop back, for example, if it's in a dominant controlling position. But you do if you're trying to win intermediate online chess games. That's why Tyler won. Is part of why he's gotten so high rated is he doesn't beat himself, which is important, but he plays an opening that forces the opponent to move forward. And until about my level, they're not going to consistently keep their pawns together, put their minor pieces on logical squares. They're going to mess up, and he's smart enough to pick that apart, which is why I think he has a lot of potential. But he also has no foundation. That's where I am higher rated by a lot. I know Tyler 1 hasn't played as much. But I have played properly, and I've taken lectures and a few private lessons. So you could tweak my game already and make big, big, big jumps quickly. Tyler 1 has never, ever seen how the Roy Lopez unfolds. Ever. I've seen thousands. So I really expect if Tyler 1 were to start putting time into chess again, or somebody who just played winning online chess that is not good chess, I don't expect that he would get to 2000 until he started playing proper openings, and then he would lose a lot. Tyler 1 would be worse at chess by a lot if he started playing Grandmaster recommended openings, which, of course, if you're going to eventually be a good chess player, you have to. I think he would be about a 16 to 1700 player right now if he played the Roy Lopez, the Sicilian, King's Indian, all the legitimate openings. So he'd have to figure that out, and that would take some time. But studying Tyler 1's account or mine would show different creative ways, some that I'm aware of, and many that I probably picked up subconsciously, that just work against untrained athletes. The main one being, of course, remove the pin and relinquish your own pin. I think basically it's kind of doing what Tyler 1 did, which I'm forcing the opponent to decide. and they'll decide incorrectly often. But also, when we remove the pin, especially when it's something like, our bishop is pinning and we have our knight pinned to our queen with the opposing bishop, it's not good to pull that back, and I wouldn't end over the board when I have time to think. But I'm eliminating the possibility of double pawns, of my queen getting in a situation where I don't really want to move it forward, or I can't have the option to. And another little trick that has helped me more in speed chess is in the end game. It's sometimes difficult for the opponent if we give away our rook and only get a knight. Like, let's say there's a knight, rook, and bishop, and there's a lot of pieces off the board, and they're closing in on my king, but I'm still winning. Or I'm losing, but the time is running low. All right, we'll figure it out. A rook is usually 2 moves away from sliding and being a defensive resource. A knight in 1 move can defend my king. And also a knight from the opponent's side is a little bit harder to predict, at least quickly, where it's going to go, how a mate might happen. It's more likely to get surprised with a knight mate or a knight and bishop mate than it is for a rook and knight. Maybe because at the lower levels, a lot of times the pieces are traded and the rooks are involved in the end game more often. I don't know. But there have been more times I feel like I get surprised with a creative mate using the minor pieces. So, figure it out with your rook and bishop, or your rook and any minor piece. And I'll just simply defend, and you'll run out of time or you'll make a mistake. Not the right way to play chess, but it is the right way to win online against players that aren't very good. And where I disagree with some chess women, I'm just rambling now, because I have listened to a lot of them, especially when I was learning. Now I just feel like I've got a foundation and I have to figure it out on my own, which is also a big advantage and why I'm a lot better than anyone on PogChamps. I'm twice as good as most of them, and the NFL Blitz players and all that. Is most people, I have to understand how to do it. How did you learn? No, I have a foundation. Leave me alone. I'm out. I'll check back if I need something. That's how you know someone has a chance to be pretty good at any task. It's not the person like I used to be. Which is, how'd you do that? Or what book should I read? It's, okay, I have enough. I know what books that might help me if I can't figure this out, but I'm going. Leave me alone. I'm going to be in the soundproof booth or something, which is why I got that, because I had access to one when I worked in corporate. But the chess women, who I think they're kind of split on it, why have women's only titles? And I'll tell you why you have women's only titles. Until you have like 20 more Polgar type stories, and everyone accepts that women can be as good at chess as men. And I don't know that that's the case. I'm not the type that's just going to say something because it's appropriate, or that's what everyone thinks. I think there are genetic differences, and the question is, are those differences relevant to chess? But to act like men and women are the same or have the same potential is silly. They can have possibly ways to equalize, but they would have to accept, or a coach would have to accept, the differences and then train women and men different. We're different. And when you remove a woman's title, you break the number one rule of learning anything, which is killing a kid's momentum. You never, ever do that. That's, again, why the Hans Niemann thing is such a big deal to me, because it's not that you messed up or even that you were mean. It's that you tried to crush a young man's momentum. And that is a cruel, unforgivable act. And in a less ugly way, I feel like that's what female professionals and professional streamers accidentally do to women. to me, I'm like, okay, I know, like Nemo, she is for the women's titles. Don't take away that. That seems to be her stance from what I've watched. Don't take away the women's titles. I think Anna Cramling is somewhere in the middle, though I haven't listened to her talk about it as much. And I've heard Alexandra Botez say pretty bluntly she doesn't love the women's titles. And my thought is, okay, Alex, what if you were, I don't know anything about her youth performances, but what if you were 12 or whatever? I think she won a Canadian championship. And you were super excited. Your dad probably took you to get ice cream or whatever you do to celebrate. And then you are at Susan Polgar's chess camp. And you say, Susan, I'm a 12-year-old champion, or I've got one norm towards my woman's master title. And Susan would have said, I'm a grandmaster. And that's all Susan would have said to Alex before she was old enough to have any coping skills or understand the cruelties of the world. I'm a grandmaster, not welcome to my camp. Not that's great. Maybe we could take that and turn you into to a master. You obviously know the women's norms. Here's what the men do, and I think you can do it. That's a very different thing than saying, yeah, those titles shouldn't exist, idiot. That's what young girls are going to hear when the women they respect in chess just say, well, that's no good because the men do something different. You're going to discourage, you're going to make them quit, and then we'll never find out how good they could be. Getting a little philosophical now. I do this when I get tired. That's one of the saddest changes in my personality or worldviews after COVID lockdown is intent doesn't matter to me as much as it used to. And maybe that's just something we realize when we get older. But I was raised to always focus on intent. You messed up, you hurt somebody, but the intent was good, so it's fine. And I've unfortunately changed my perspective on that. Magnus Carlsen's intent might not have been to ruin Hans Niemann's life. That's a situation where it's too much, and I don't care because you did. I'm going to gamble a little bit. I've said some controversial or even mean things in this video. It's not meaner than Mr. Oh, chess is easy, bro. Chess is easy, bro. Chess isn't hard, bro. Come on, bro. Yeah, Mr. I got a GM thumbnail from the biggest chess streamer, and I could have used some help. He's already earned, he's earned it. He's earned his League of Legends success. I don't know anything about it. But I could have used some help, Levy, and now I don't want your help. I'll do it alone, or I'll deal cards, and I'll be happy. I don't think you people are funny. Joking with Hans Niemann. Did he cheat? Oh, here's my secret anal beads. I think you do it to me now. So I'm cool. Where's the one you said your life has no value? Life has no value. And this is to the people who have kissed his ass over and over and over. I'll say what I want now. Ban me. Because you didn't ban him. Chess is very hard. Again, he's intelligent enough to exploit the mistakes of untrained athletes. Mainly with pawns, because pawns can never be taken back. Even an athlete at my level or slightly higher, I would beat him. But an athlete just a little bit higher than me, if he played that athlete over the board in the classical time control, Tyler 1 would get he would have 0% chance of winning. Playing the opening he plays against a trained athlete that is above, let's say, 1,600 over the board. He would get slaughtered. And the most obvious way that would happen is with pawns. He has no understanding of how to attack with pawns because, again, he has simply left his forces back, which made the other side bring theirs out. And imagine like a war where one side is drunk, but they got a time advantage. That's how Tyler 1 plays chess. Okay, They have all come out, but they're not very good, and they're all piss drunk. So now Tyler won, or the sober general that's more intelligent. I do think he's very bright and very capable. But now the intelligent general says, well, shit, we're kind of backed into a corner here, but I can see where that one's fallen over. I can see where the rook is clearly thinking about an ex-girlfriend, and he doesn't want to fight me. And all of those pawns are in wheelchairs. Okay, this is cool. I have a better army. Let's now. This is actually better. This is better than if we were equal, because now they're all out of line. And then Tyler 1 is again smart enough to exploit that. I would venture to say if an athlete didn't have the ambition to see how good he or she could become online, it would be better, or at least a faster climb to, let's say, 1600, playing the way Tyler does versus the way I played. But as soon as athletes actually have some formal training and have taken their losses for a couple years like I have, yeah, they're going to kill him. But listen to this shit. It's born. They were born. Yeah, bro. Yeah, Levy, bro. Levy, bro. I'm disrespectful. Hey, bro. Hey, biggest chess streamer, bro. Hey, IM, who has made videos about how difficult it is to attain even one grandmaster norm, and all the things he's done to try to improve, and that he would like to become a grandmaster. And you're just bro. You're just a fucking idiot, bro. Why don't you go kiss his ass more, bro? And don't ever say hi to me if you see me, Levy. Because he has said shit like this over and over, and he's dead serious. He thinks you're a fucking idiot. He really does. Like even Hikaru and top players who I obviously respect them. I don't know them. I mean, they're really good chess players. I would never. Well, one, I would never waste my life. Let's say somebody like scanned my brain and it turns out I'm a super genius that just didn't have access to chess, but somehow, technology comes out, a more advanced version of a spec scan. Well, that part of Dayton's brain is bigger. That exact, like I'm the perfect chess brain. I just didn't get to play. I didn't ever learn until 26. Hey, if you really develop, maybe you could be as good as Hikaru Nakamura, which is absurd. But let's say it's possible. Let's say that's what happened. I would say, why on earth would I spend every waking second for the next 20 years to be this good? Tyler 1 thinks Hikaru and him are the same. He really does. He doesn't understand. Like if Hikaru explained a few ways Hikaru would absolutely kill Tyler 1, and Hikaru could play Tyler 1 10 million times drunk with the black pieces and a minor handicap, and he would never lose, ever. That's how chess works. And Tyler 1, I think he really thinks that he could do it. He really thinks he's that good at chess because he's beaten untrained, not very talented, basically beginners. And he's going to mispronounce their names. He's going to tell Eric Rosen, which I think Eric Rosen is, I'm sure Levy's nice too, but Eric Rosen is a very nice guy. You can tell by his streams, he's just a kind person. And he's a very strong player. That's an international master. I don't think Tyler 1 knows the difference between a national master, grandmaster, any of that, first of all. And to say Eric Rosen's life has no value, I'm not just going off what I've seen of him. I don't know the guy either. But listen to his peers talk about him. I don't know that you're going to find a nicer person. And I think Eric, I don't know that he comes from money or anything, but if you play chess as a kid, your parents have to have something. So I don't know that he's as like gung-ho about becoming a grandmaster. And I think he really just loves chess and wants people to enjoy it like he does. And to say those types of things, that your life has no value, or had I been you, I would be way better than you, is one, difficult to prove. It's impossible to prove, and it's unnecessary. And I'll close with this before I go on major tangents. I already have. I worked in the corporate world. I have nothing against people who have money or have earned success. I don't love the way the world works in the sense, chess players don't make any money unless you're the very best, or Walmart workers make a fraction of what Alice Walton inherited. I have a lot of respect for entrepreneurs. I have less respect for people that just, climb the corporate ladder, because anyone could do that, in my opinion. But my understanding is chess.com benefited from the chess boom. from what I can tell, Hans Niemann is still not sponsored. So at least in America, it didn't help Grandmasters long term. My laptop's going to die. And I don't care to go help another corporation, grow if they're going to do things like they did to Hans Niemann. And it's sad because Grandmasters put just as much time into their craft as baseball players do. I mean, a baseball player that's not the very best but is up there makes, let's say $200 million over the course of his lifetime. That same level chess player would make not enough to own a home. I think that's fucked up. But if it means helping the people who did that to Niemann, and could have stopped too. Yeah, I don't care. I'm content. I'm glad I found chess. And I could just leave it at that. A little COVID project that I had a lot of fun doing. We can tell a lot about someone based on how they treat the little guy or the 60th rated player. Anyone can treat the number one decently. But how do you treat Hans Niemann? That's how you're going to treat me. We'll go gamble.